Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the return of the big Perlman box on Warner, formerly EMI, because Perlman actually turns 80 this year, or maybe he already has. I don't know. He was born in 1945. So 80 is the number, and happy birthday to Mr. Perlman, one of the great violinists ever, without a doubt, and a little bit controversial. And I mean, this particular box, which is absolutely splendid, fills me with nostalgia, because I grew up with watching Itzhak Perlman, number one, so he's followed me for my entire musical life. Number two, he represents, in a way, one of the last remaining avatars of the golden age of classical recordings, the time when artists signed to major labels. The major labels followed their careers for decades. They recorded an enormous volume of work. And, that's not happening anymore. And it's probably not going to happen anytime soon, at least in the form it used to take. And so, I feel a little bit sad, not for Perlman, whose achievement at 80 is absolutely splendid and ongoing in many fields. He's a really talented guy. He did some conducting, which he was pretty good at, and he even sang the part of the jailer, remember, in the Levine Tosca on EMI, and he did it very well. He has a lovely baritone voice. I mean, some of these people that are musical, they could do absolutely anything. He's never let his handicap, his polio, slow him down a whit. I mean, and he's been happily married and had a normal family. In a way, he's almost too wholesome for the classical music industry. There's never been a whiff of scandal around him. He's just a great violinist, a great all-around musician, a giving and warm-hearted and generous musical personality. And for some people, that's a bad thing. People complain about his very rich and warm vibrato, which it depends on the repertoire, I suppose. His style of playing may be a bit out of fashion today, but I don't think great romantic violin playing really can ever go out of fashion. There are people who dislike that style, and today they seem to be, vocal and they have a platform because of the early music movement, and so they get sniffy when they hear Perlman. And of course, his recordings were notorious for putting the violin front and center. And when we all complained about it, we critics, because we did, his response was, they're there to hear me, not to hear the rest of the orchestra. And he had a point. I mean, I've seen him live many, many, many times, and, he was the attraction. Let's not kid ourselves. So it's really a wonderful thing to be able to reflect on his, not just his career as a personal accomplishment, but also what it represents for classical music lovers, for the classical music recording industry as a whole, and what it says about where we are today. He's a focal point, and deservedly so. So let's go through this quickly. I mean, it's got only 78 CDs. Kill me now. And let's give it a shot. Oh, boy. Actually, I'm so happy that EMI has sideways, or Warner, whatever they are, has sideways boxes that come out this way, because, they keep the thing from falling out onto your foot and killing you and spreading all over the place. There is a teeny, teeny, tiny little booklet. He deserves a coffee table book. Let's not kid ourselves. But you do get some pictures. Oh, there he is with Rostropovich and Bernard Haitink and, all these famous people he's hung out with. And it's, And then there is a work list. Okay. That's good. We get a work list. And, okay. So, there it is. Let's start with CD1. Let's see if I can arrange this properly. Oh, there he is. Remember, he did initially he was an RCA artist, And then he jumped ship from Warner and wound up on Deutsche Grammophon and Decca, actually, too, with Ashkenazi. So, as a chamber music musician. So he's been all over the major labels. And Deutsche Grammophon has a 25 CD box coming out again, which is a reissue of their previous 25 CD Perlman box. And we'll get to that as well. So I don't know if this has any new stuff. I'm not going to go and check. I mean, it's like, if you have the earlier box, you're fine. That's what I'm telling you now. You don't have to worry about it. There's some stuff with Martha Argerich at the end. I don't remember if that was in the previous box or not. But there is also, otherwise it's exactly the same. So you're in good shape, Perlman wise. All right, here's the first Clump. Let me get this Clump out of here. Okay, his first disc for Warner. Paganini Violin Concerto number 1, Carmen Fantasy by Pablo de Sarasate with Lawrence Foster and the Royal Phil. Well, I mean, he's great for this sort of virtuoso romantic stuff. He really is, and it's great, and it's virtuoso, and it's romantic. Then we've got Barenboim, Perlman, Zuckerman, yes, La Kosher Nostra, or at least part of it, along with Isaac Stern and Zubin Mehta, who's an honorary member, of course, and all of that. We've got Bach violin concertos with the double violin concerto with the English Chamber Orchestra under Barenboim. I know people's Bach playing, has changed somewhat, but I really recommend that all fans of the period instrument movement listen to this, because like I said, great violin playing is great violin playing. And what is so bizarre about, what some of the period instrument people do is that we forget that violin technique has essentially been, the instrument itself and the way to play it has been a settled matter for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it was a pretty settled matter when Bach wrote his violin concertos. Yes, you could lengthen the bridge, you could do things. People will whinge about, how things are slightly different. The bow went like, and now it goes, something like that's horses are different. I don't know. But it's worth hearing great violin playing in that repertoire. Traditionally great violin playing rather than some sort of, academic construct violin playing. Paganini Caprices. Oh, these are marvelous. I detest the Paganini Caprices. I have to tell you, they make me crazy. But then again, solo violin music is not my thing, actually. Sorry, Itzhak. These are wonderful performances, and every great violinist does it. And I keep seeing more and more and more recordings of them. And who's going to listen to them? What you want is one great violinist, like Perlman, doing the Paganini Caprices. Then you can own them and say you own them, and you don't have to listen to anybody else. And then they're fine. The one Caprice I love, of course, is the one with the tune. Da 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 da. That's the great one. It's the last one, isn't it? I think so. Yes, the Theme and Variations, number 24 in A minor, something like that. And all the rest of them, as far as I'm concerned, are for violinists. Wieniawski, Violin Concertos 1 and 2, London's Philharmonic and Seiji Ozawa. Gorgeous performances of these works. I am also not a Wieniawski fan. I fell asleep during Midori playing the Wieniawski First Concerto, I think it was, in Carnegie Hall with Charles Dutoit and the Montreal Symphony. I was sitting in the balcony with every Suzuki violinist in New York, every Japanese Suzuki violinist in New York, and I was there snoring, and they were staring at me like I was, the devil incarnate. I didn't see them staring at me. My friend who I was with was laughing, watching them stare at me like the devil incarnate, and that kept him awake, watching them stare at me, sleeping. But, those are great performances. And again, if you're going to have this music, this violin music by violinists for violinists, you want to have just, insanely great virtuoso violin playing. And you do. So if I want to hear Wieniawski, I'll listen to this. I do. I always have. And I've enjoyed it when I've heard it, I have to say. Here we go. Mendelssohn and Bruch, Violin Concertos, the standard fare with Andre Previn and the London Symphony. Lovely performances. Oh, look at how young they are. Oh, wait a minute. You got to see this. Look at that. It's like the kids after the frat party. My goodness. Goodness gracious. Bartók, Violin Concerto Number 2 with the London Symphony and Previn. Lovely stuff. All these Perlman Previn discs were really, really fine for the most part. They were forwardly balanced. We'll give it that. Violin Encores. Okay, who cares? I mean, I just we have to get past that. Violin encore discs make me crazy most of the time. More Bach. Let's see what's this. More Bach violin concertos with the English Chamber Orchestra and Daniel Barenboim. Again, double violin concerto is... Oh, wait a minute. No, this is the D minor violin concerto, which is reconstructed from the lost concerto for 2 harpsichords in C minor, transcribed in D minor with Neil Black playing the oboe part. Well, that's nice. And these are reconstructed concertos. And there's the D minor from the harpsichord concerto, right? Isn't that the one? 1052, BWV 1052. Yeah. Do 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 do. Wonderful. So this is not the same as the previous one. Of course not. Great stuff. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Dvorak Violin Concerto with the Romance. Yay! Yes, he did a lovely Dvorak at a time when people weren't so much doing the Dvorak. Then again with Daniel Barenboim in the LPO. It's LPO. I mean, it's a little... I tend to like the Czech performances a little better. They're a little leaner. And now, of course, everybody and their mother does the Dvorak Concerto. There have been lots and lots of great performances. But back in the day, this was kind of novel. And I have to say, they pace it. They pace it well. They really do. I mean, the timings are, 11:19 and 10:41 and then 10 minutes. I mean, the finale is the shortest movement, which it should be. And it should be 9 and a bit, 10 minutes. It's the right approach. It really is. It's nice. I always love this disc. This is all the French stuff with Martinon. Remember, some of it was parceled out around like the Martinon boxes. Martinon. Saint-Saëns introduction in Rondo Capriccioso, Chanson Poème, Saint-Saëns Havanaise, and Ravel's Cigana. God, worst piece ever written for violin. But that's okay. It's in that Martinon Ravel box. The Easy Winners and Other Rags of Scott Joplin with Perlman and Previn. Well, isn't it? I mean, it's lovely. I mean, he always was willing to let his hair down. Stravinsky. Oh, this is a good one. Divertimento, Suite Italienne, and Duo Concertante with Perlman and Bruno Canino. This is a good record of Stravinsky's music for violin and piano. Perlman's repertoire was very, very wide, his range. I mean, he didn't do like all the crazy modern stuff, and he didn't explore the highways and byways of weird romantic violin playing as much as perhaps he could have, but he did do it, as you'll see. And he did it supremely well and made a lot of friends for repertoire which otherwise would never have been heard. Let's see, Perlman, Kreisler. Well, Kreisler is Chryslerish, and he was a very good Kreisler guy. Vivaldi, The Four Seasons, of course. And he is the violinist and conductor. That's authenticity, folks. That's the way they did it back in the day. They didn't have these insane dictatorial period instrument Svengalis telling their players how to play every single frickin' note. What you had was a great violinist and a bunch of other string players, and they got together and they played the crap out of the Four Seasons. And that's what they do. So there. Brooke, Scottish Fantasy. Oh, I love that. Best recording of this since Heifetz. Or one of them. I mean, Kyung Hwa Chung was the other one, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe. Anyway, and his Violin Concerto Number 2 with Lopez Cobos and the New Philharmonia. Very, very fine, and a nice exploration of some less played stuff. More Fritz Kreisler. Okay. And the Brahms with Giulini and the Chicago Symphony. A classic recording of the Brahms Concerto. Absolutely first rate. And it set up their later recording of the Beethoven, which of course remains a version de référence for those of you people who are into those things. All right, that's Clump number 1. I think we're going to have like 4 clumps. Yeah, I think we'll get through all this stuff in 4 clumps or so. All right. Perlman and Pinchas Zuckerman, duets for 2 violins. Actually, there's some wonderful music in here. Leclerc, his Sonata Number 5. Wieniawski's Etude Caprices. has something by Handel, the Passacaglia in G minor. Well, that's a transcription by Johann Halvorsen for 2 violins, which is fun. And Spohr's Duo Concertante in D major. Spohr is always at his best when he's doing these strange little chamber works because, his ingenuity doesn't get ahead of his, too far ahead anyway, of his inspiration, which tended to be limited. So this is a fun disc of interesting repertoire. The Goldmark Concerto. Oh, really? Does anybody do it better than Itzhak Perlman? I don't think so. And Zigeunerweisen with the Pittsburgh Symphony in Previn. So Previn by then had decamped to Pittsburgh, where he made some lovely recordings, including that dazzling Mahler 4 with Elie Ameling. Whoa, baby. Vieux Temps. Violin Concertos numbers 4 and 5 with the Orchestre de Paris and Barenboim. See, it's also fun to follow Perlman's career as the conductors he worked with went through the treadmill of conductorial posts. They went from orchestra to orchestra to orchestra. And there was Perlman making concerto recordings with them, which is really fun. The Vieux Temps pieces are really kind of lovely. Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto and Serenade Melancholique with Ormandy and Philly. Yeah, wasn't this an early digital? It's the new Philadelphia sound. Yes, it was new. And it didn't sound very good for many, many years, including the early digitals. I wonder if this was. I'm trying to see the first release. What was the year? Oh, gosh, do I have mine? Wait a minute here. Oh, that's not there. Here it is. Oh, need the magnifying glass. Yeah, it's killing me here. Okay, here it is. Cover artwork, first release, 1978. Okay, 78. Yeah. So let's see. So I guess it's not digital. I think. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't care. It's a great performance of the Tchaikovsky. It's perfectly fine. Then Perlman Encores Volume 2. It goes where Volume 1 goes, in the pile. Perlman and Zuckerman play music for 2 violins again. Okay. Moskowski, Suite for 2 violins and piano. Shostakovich, 3 violin duets with piano. Prokofiev, Sonata for 2 violins. How's that for an interesting collection of lesser-known repertoire? That's terrific. And they were great together, the two of them, Perlman and Zuckerman. They really were. Brahms, Double Concerto. Perlman, Rostropovich, Haitink, Concerto. Wow. What could be better than that? I mean, seriously, it's really, really wonderful. I mean, we know the classic double concerto is George Sell with Oistrakh and Rostropovich, but this is awfully good. You get to a level where it's just comparing apples to oranges, assuming you like both of them equally. Let's see. Then we got the Spanish album, the Falla Suite Popular Espagnole, arranged by Kochansky. Is that who it is? Yeah, it looks like a Kochansky. Let's see. Then Granados and Halfter and Sarasate and all those people. I love Spanish music, and Perlman plays it like a Spaniard. Yes, he does. The Sibelius Violin Concerto, the Sinding Suite in A minor in the old style, orchestral version. Well, this is fun. The Sinding is what I really liked on this disc. The Sibelius is very good, but it's, he did it previously on RCA. I think it was with Leinsdorf, and it was really, really wonderful as well. Probably a little better than this one. And here is one of those recordings where the violin is really in your face. And I'm sorry, I like to hear the accompaniment in the Sibelius Concerto, because the Sibelius Concerto is one of those works that sounds like Sibelius as much as a violin concerto. And the orchestra is really important. They really have the work can sound like two people playing two different things that have nothing to do with each other if you're not careful. It doesn't happen here, not hardly, but I like the orchestration. It's one of the miracles of the concerto repertoire. Let's see. Fritz Kreisler Volume 3. That's more Kreisler than anybody needs, it seems to me. A Different Kind of Blues with Andre Previn and other jazz people. It's a jazz album. And, it was never my thing, but that's okay. The Bela Bartok 44 Duos with Pinchas Zuckerman. Beautiful disc, wonderful disc. Sándor Vég was kind of your standard for that music, but he's a good Bartokian. And then It's a Breeze, Andre Previn, another Previn jazz disc with Shelly Manne, Jim Hall, and Red Mitchell. They're on the previous one too. That's a nice disc. I remember enjoying it a couple of times back in the day. Oboe quartets, Mozart, Stamitz, Johann Christian Bach, and Von Hall, with Perlman, Zuckerman now on the viola, Ray Still, oboe, and Lynn Harrell, cello. I mean, they were a tremendous, tremendous group of soloists. Let's not kid ourselves. Perlman surrounded himself with the best. He really did, and he was a wonderful chamber music colleague. So is still, I guess. I don't know. Tchaikovsky's piano trio with Perlman, Harrell, and Ashkenazi. Yeah, it's long. Boy, is that piece long. It's not something I listen to very often. It's a big, huge, mega trio. It's cool. It's a great work. It really is. But it's an occasional work, I think. The Korngold Violin Concerto with the Konus Violin Concerto in E minor. I remember this with Pittsburgh Symphony and Previn. Here's another. Perlman is way up front in the mix. And in the Korngold, yes, I mean, I get it. Because the orchestra really is a big, juicy accompaniment to an insanely virtuosic piano part. Remember, it was written for Heifetz. And when this came out, there really were very few recordings of the Korngold Concerto. There was, I think, Ulf Holscher, also on EMI at the time, if you could find it. Was just about the only other one, aside from the Heifetz, which had been out of print forever. And the Heifetz also, which was an early stereo recording or mono recording. It just didn't sound great. So this was digital. And I remember putting this on. I remember I was at the radio station. I was at WJHU running classical, as director of classical programming back in the day when I was in college. So this came out, 1980, because that was it. It was my freshman or sophomore year. I was already, on the air in Baltimore. And this record came in, and I plonked it on, and I went, "Wow! Oh, that's cool!" That's how I discovered the Korngold Concerto. Since I've come to appreciate other versions that are a little bit better integrated, without being a whit less detailed in terms of your ability to hear the violin. But boy, does he play the crap out of it. Oh, my goodness. And the Konus is a fun, romantic student piece. It's kind of enjoyable. And here is the Beethoven. This was a big deal, with a capital B and a capital D when it came out, and it has not dimmed one whit. I mean, he remade this, of course, if they always do. He didn't need to. This is the one. Perlman, Giulini, Beethoven Violin Concerto. Glorious. Fabulous. And a wonderful, people sort of breathed a sigh of relief when that came out, because it's like, wow, people are still doing great recordings of the Beethoven in this day and age being the 80s. Yeah, and they still are. They still can, and they still do. The Prokofiev Violin Concertos with the BBC Symphony and Rozhdestvensky. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous stuff. Let's see. I saw Perlman do the Prokofiev second, I seem to recall, at some point. I don't remember when. Trio Sonatas by C.P.E. Bach. Yay! C.P.E. Bach is great. J.C. Bach and Johann Gottlieb Goldberg, as in the Variations. I don't know if it was that Goldberg, but why not? With Itzhak Perlman, Pinka Zuckerman, Timothy Eddy, and Samuel Sanders harpsichord. Good, interesting repertoire. Yes, do a little exploring. Why don't we? The Khachaturian Violin Concerto. Oh, this is the one to have. In modern sound, it's just beautiful. With the Israel Phil and Zubin Mehta and Tchaikovsky's Souvenir d'un lieu cher. Okay. Bach. Oh, goodness. More violin concertos with Ray Still and the Israel Philharmonic. These are all reconstructed things, and double concertos for violin and oboe with Perlman conducting and playing with the Israel Phil. Lovely. All righty. Clump number 3. Oh my gosh. God, gee whiz. Clump number 3. Vivaldi Violin Concertos, including Il Sospetto. Like we care about who's the sospetto. But bits from L'Estro Armonico, La Stravaganza, and Opus 12, and things that we've never heard of, with the Israel Phil, with Perlman conducting and playing very stylishly, I might add. Mendelssohn, the remakes. Oh, now here come the remakes. Mendelssohn Bruck with the Concertgebouw and Haitink. Excellent. I mean, they're excellent. His last one was excellent. His new one was excellent. Then we've got the Earl Kim Concerto. I remember this. And the Robert Starrer Violin Concerto. Perlman doing some contemporary stuff with Ozawa and the Boston Symphony. These pieces don't seem to have caught on. They're not bad. They really aren't. I mean, they're worth hearing again, I think. I mean, the great thing about recording contemporary repertoire is that at least it's been set down on disc now, and people can go back and listen, and we'll see if these things actually manage to break through the glass ceiling of getting into the repertoire of other violinists. Brahms, Violin Sonatas, Volume 1, Numbers 1 and 2 with Ashkenazi. Very, very good. I mean, they were always good. And here's the third one. Number 3, and the Scherzo in C minor from the FAE Sonata, and some Hungarian dance arrangements by Josef Joachim. Lovely discs, absolutely first class. Brahms, Vivaldi, The Four Seasons, with the Israel Philharmonic. These are the remakes. Remember, this was all redone in digital. I mean, that's what happened, right? Things became digital, and that was an excuse to redo the entire violin repertoire. And there was Mr. Perlman, ready to rock. Oh, this is a lovely disc. This is a Czech disc. That's Czech stuff. Oh my gosh, the Dvorak Sonatina. What a terrific work. And it's not all that tiny. I mean, it's a full-fledged violin sonata, but he did it as his Opus 100 because, you know, it was the old intimidation factor. It's like, oh, I have to do a big deal for Opus 100. So he wrote this charming violin sonatina, and also the romantic pieces are on here, which are gorgeous, and Smetana's From My Homeland for violin and piano, and gosh, it's just great with Samuel Sanders, who was always often Perlman's able accompanist. Beethoven piano trios. Here they are. Ashkenazi, Perlman, Lynn Harrell. Terrific set of Beethoven trios. It really is. And they are on 4 discs. And here they are. I can get rid of all 4 discs at once, which is really good. Gets us moving a little more quickly. Tradition. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Familiar Jewish melodies. Arrangements by Dov Seltzer. With Israel Zohar clarinet, the Israel Phil under Dov Seltzer. Well, okay, I'm Jewish. I'm a sucker for this stuff. I love these tunes. They are gorgeous. They're fantastically well played, and nobody can kvetch about his vibrato in that music. That's for damn sure. My favorite Chrysler. Well, what happened to volumes 1, 2, and 3? Oh, gosh, Chrysler, you know, he's a Chrysleriana. He really is. Bruch, a violin concerto and Scottish fantasy. Violin concerto number 2. Oh, is this a remake? With Zubin Mehta and the Israel Phil. Okay, that's another one. You know, you take your pick which one you like better if you want both of them. The Bach sonatas and partitas. Well, you know, this set of sonatas and partitas was eagerly awaited because Perlman waited, which was a very, very smart thing to do before setting them down, and he plays them superbly, and he gets very little attention for having done them as well and waited. It's like conductors who wait to do a Beethoven cycle. They have a certain maturity, and they take the music with a seriousness, and I really think that he deserves credit for that. The violin playing is immaculate. It's absolutely marvelous. Really marvelous. I mean, but everyone's got their favorites. There's Milstein, there's Grumiaux, there's violinists who are supposedly more, well, austere. But, you know, it's violin music. You know, he does it fantastically. Beethoven, Violin Concerto, the remake, Berlin Phil, Perlman Barenboim. Okay, Cellini's better. Who are we kidding? I mean, it's very good. You know, and you get the 2 romances, which is, you know, the bonus. So they understood that they needed to give you something a little extra. A tribute to Heifetz. Lots of little Heifetzian sniglets with Samuel Sanders. And, you know, Perlman had the technique. He really did. And the characteristic sound. He didn't sound anything like Heifetz, actually. But he was a virtuoso in his own way of similar rank. So, yeah, it's a nice thing. Shostakovich, Violin Concerto number 1 with the Israel Phil and Zubin Mehta. Oh, this is really hot. This was a very, very good Shostakovich one, along with the Glazunov Concerto, which is also wonderful. This is a wonderful disc. And it just shows that even later in his career, he wasn't just doing remakes. He was taking on new concertos and doing new repertoire. The Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto, live in Russia with the Israel Phil and Zubin Mehta, along with the recital at the Janet Guggenheim piano. Okay, that's an occasional thing, you know. It was exciting that he did it in Russia. Placido Domingo and Perlman together with the New York Studio Orchestra, arranged by Jonathan Tunick. Well, there you go. We're on Clump number 4, by the way. So we're in the home stretch. Beethoven string trios, Perlman, Zuckerman, Harrell. Yeah, lovely recordings. Really, these are live recordings, and good recordings. You get these. These are wonderful pieces, absolutely lovely pieces. And these Beethoven string trios were his great early works. So I mean, that's very nice to have. One of my favorites of his later recordings, the Castelnuovo Tedesco Violin Concerto Number 2, The Prophets. This is great. It's a wonderful, wonderful work. And along with the Paul Ben Chaim Violin Concerto, which is another excellent work. Beautiful recordings of important repertoire and, you know, with a sort of Jewish theme kind of thing going on there, because both composers were Jewish. Yes, the Castelnuovo Tedesco sounds like one of those 1950s Bible picks, but that's great as far as I'm concerned. And the Ben Chaim's a serious composer, formidable composer who wrote some terrific music. I've got to cover more of his stuff. I have some sitting here that I need to talk about. But yeah, one of Perlman's finest late recordings, I think, in my humble opinion. Brahms Violin Concerto Remake with Barenboim in Berlin, and it's also very good. And, you know, I have to say, even in the remakes and whatnot, he does not drool over the first movement, 22 minutes and 24 seconds. You know, whereas so many people today, you know, make it last like half an hour, 25 minutes. They're crazy. That's absolutely nuts. This is still a fresh, lively, exciting performance, and I give him full props for that. Brahms piano trios. Okay, 2 discs of those with, you know, Harrell and Ashkenazi. I mean, they were quite a team. They made fabulous recordings of the chamber music repertoire by the German standard people. Perlman and Samuel Sanders, Bits and Pieces. What are the bits and pieces? Oh, God, there's like tons of them. Okay, we'll just leave it at that and call them bits and pieces. The American Album. This is also a first-class album. The Bernstein Serenade, the Barber Violin Concerto, and Lucas Foss, 3 American pieces with the Boston Symphony and Seiji Ozawa. First class. Absolutely first class. I mean, the reference recording of the Barber remains Isaac Stern and Bernstein, but there have been, well, like millions of really, really great recordings of the Barber, including Gil Shaham, you know, and people like that who also did wonderful things, but this is terrific. Perlman a la carte with the Abbey Road Ensemble. Oh, gosh golly, it's like all kinds of, you know, tchotchkes. She should have done something called the Tchotchke album. That would have been appropriate. Beethoven, Triple Concerto, and the the Choral Fantasy. Thank you. I mean, it's like, you know, you try and read it out, right? Fantasy for piano, chorus, and orchestra in C major, Opus 80. The Choral Fantasy. Keep things simple, folks. Okay, the Triple Concerto is Perlman, Yo-Yo Ma, Daniel Barenboim, Berlin Phil, Daniel Barenboim conducting. And it's, you know, still Beethoven's least interesting concerto. And I know there are many of you who will say, it's my favorite piece in the whole world. It's my favorite piece by Beethoven. Well, nobody cares. It's still his least interesting concerto. And if you love it, more power to you. Klezmer in the Fiddler's House. Oh my goodness, yes, Klezmer. Gosh, this is fun stuff with the Klezmatics and Andy Statman Klezmer Orchestra and the Klezmer Conservatory Band and everything Klezmerish. Oh my God, what doesn't get better than that, folks? And Klezmer 2 live. Yay! I mean, these are good crossover albums. They really are, because the music is wonderful. Perlman and Yo-Yo Ma, the Brahms Double Concerto, the Chicago Symphony. Ooh, baby. Look at that. Daniel Barenboim. And, and the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. Opus 64. Yes, that was one of the pieces for my 64th birthday video. And this is Erato. He was on Erato, but then they were all, you know, major labels and things, and people were jumping around. And we also have Perlman, Barenboim in Chicago doing the Stravinsky Violin Concerto and Prokofiev number 2, which is a remake. And the Stravinsky, remember, was one of the absolute highlights of his Deutsche Grammophon discography, where I think he did a performance that's just unbelievable. So, this is interesting. But he already did the Prokofiev very, very well with Previn. And we've got, I think it was with Previn, we just talked about it. And the Stravinsky, like I said, on DG. Perlman, Concertos from My Childhood. Well, this is cute. This is this lovely little disc of concertos for children, child violinists. There he is. There he is, little puffy-cheeked, budding prodigy. Stravinsky's by Reading, Zeitz, Accolé, and, De Berio. Well, he was a serious guy. His Scene de Ballet, that's fun. And Viotti, Concerto number 22. I mean, these were at one point considered major virtuoso pieces. The Viotti certainly was. I mean, and not the others, which were written as student works and whatnot. But this is with the Juilliard Orchestra under Lawrence Foster. It's really a charming, lovely album. Then we've got Argerich and Perlman. Let's see, doing the Kreutzer Sonata and the Franck Sonata, music from Saratoga. I mean, that's a well-known disc, and those are beautiful performances. Argerich is the queen of the Franck Sonata. She's played the version for flute. She's played the version with James Galway. She did the version for cello. She did the version for violin. She did the version for octo bass, and the version for Vuvuzinga and all these things. I mean, she's done everything with the Franck. Mozart. The Mozart Concerti. This is Violin Concerto number 3, the Adagio and Fugue in C minor, and the Jupiter Symphony, with Perlman playing the violin and conducting quite effectively. I mean, this is not anyone's favorite Jupiter, but it's a very good one. So that's nice. He did the complete Mozarts on Deutsche Grammophon, and extraordinarily well, I might add. Peter and the Wolf, Carnival of the Animals, Zubin Mehta, and Perlman is the narrator. Yes, he's not the violinist. He's the narrator in Peter and the Wolf and Carnival of the Animals. And just as he sang a very fine jailer in Tosca, he narrates a very fine Peter and the Wolf and Carnival of the Animals. And then you've got, let's see, Mario Cavaradossi. Oh, his bit from Tosca is in here. Good grief. Every shred. And then Argerich and Perlman doing Schumann, Bach, and Brahms. Now, let's see. This was recorded it's Schumann's Violin Sonata number 1 is Drei Fantasiestücke for violin and piano, the Brahms Scherzo from the FAE Sonata again, and the Bach's Violin Sonata number 4 in C minor, BWV 1017. Now, this came from 1998. So there it is. Was it in the last Perlman box? I don't remember, again. But it's basically all the same stuff. And so there you go. And those are perfectly fine performances that, I've played once or twice, and then they went and rested in the box because I don't play them every 15 minutes. Here we go. 78 CDs. Is that what it was? Here's the top of the box. Here's the booklet. Here's the bottom of the box. You do get the track listing on the back. That's quite helpful. 78 CDs. Yeah. One hell of a legacy. Let's make absolutely no mistake. And let's see if I can put these away. I don't remember exactly how they looked when I took them out, but I think this will be in order if I get all the clumps back. So, where does that leave us? Well, let's face it. This is an amazing legacy by an extraordinary artist. I think that is the only conclusion that we can possibly draw. Some may have quibbles, but quibbles are the nature of this business. You can quibble all you like, but there are some things which are eternal. And extraordinary musicianship and amazing talent allied to keen musical intelligence are all indisputable. So I shall not dispute them. Congratulations on your 80th birthday. As I said before, Mr. Perlman, you've given us all a tremendous gift, and it is a gift which shall keep on giving, as the cliche goes, into eternity. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.